The products and service list is an important list for us in QuickBooks. It's important because it's the connection between the entries that we make in certain circumstances and the accounts that they hit in the chart of accounts. So if I go to the little gear here, you'll see that on the list I've got my products and service list. If I click in there, the list appears. Now if you've got stock switched on in the system, you get this part at the top with the orange and the red colours which show our stock position, and you'll see in this particular example file that we've got some items of the type stock. We've got other service items. So if you're a service business, you'd probably only have service items in here and not the stock items that exist in this particular file. So these items, the names on these items, are what we pick when we're entering particularly an invoice in. And if I pick an invoice and picked a particular product on here, it would go to the category of income that's specified. So if I pick gold party here, it will go to my sales income on an income side, with also an expense side set up here where it will go to purchases if I use it on an expense form. You don't have to have both income and expenses on a particular item, but you'll always have to have an income side. The expense side is an optional part which I'll talk about in a moment. So if I'm going to do an invoice in here, going to the plus sign here and invoice, we can see that on the invoice form I've got an option to pick my product and service, and that's where you would pick the particular product. And if I pick that particular product there, I know because of the setup of the products and service list that this is going to go to the income account, and it's feeding through the information set up in my product with a fixed price if applicable and with a VAT code. So that's where the income feeds in when we pick a particular product and service. So it's important that we understand where these income lines are set to post, but also where the expense side is set to post. So the reason we don't always need an expense side is that we can, when we enter transactions in QuickBooks, so if I go to my bill screen and the suppliers, so on the expense side of things, it may be possible for me to go quite a lot of the time straight to the chart of accounts through the category list here and pick from my list of expenses in the chart of accounts, bypassing the product and service. But if I do need a product and service, I've got this item details in my bill form where I can pick a product and service. So again, I can pick my gold party there, and it's particularly relevant to pick an item when you're dealing with quantities and rates, and that's where this comes into use on the item side. So unless you're using quantity and rates and using purchase orders with quantity and rates, you really most of the time will be putting a category in rather than connecting to your product and service list within there. For that, picking that particular product and service there, I can look at my product and service list and I'll know which expense account it's going to go to. So let's leave the bill screen there, go back to our product and services, and you'll see that we've got, in this particular instance, we've got 19 products and services. The number of products and services you have depends on the structure and the detail you want to report. So if you have numerous income accounts, so you want to split the income into different categories, you'll need a few products and services to feed those income lines in. If you want to set your file up with one income line and one product, again, that's fine. It simplifies the process but gets you less detail in your reporting. So if I wanted to add a new product into here, I can click on new. I would select my product type, and you can see in this instance I've got an option of stock, non-stock, service and bundle. If I'm a service business, I'm going to pick service, and then I would add a product in here, completing the boxes with particular relevance to the income account I'm selecting. But also, if I want to pick a purchase side, I would have to tick in the purchase information here, and it would release more information for me to populate with the purchase side. The important things being which income account it's going to, which expense account the information is going to, the posting is going to apply to. When you come to your product and service list, if you've not got all these columns that I've got on here, go to the little gear here. You can choose to amend the columns in here, and I typically go in and make sure I'm showing my income account particularly. I need to understand where this particular product or service is driving the postings as I put transactions in, as I invoice my clients. So that's the product and service list. It's the key link between the invoicing and the posting of the income to your correct account in your chart of accounts. It possibly can be used on the purchasing side, in which case it's the link between your bill and the posting on the purchase side of your chart of accounts. but a lot of the time we don't need to use the product and service list on the expense side. We can go straight to the chart of accounts as we input a bill or an expense into the system. So that's your product and service list, a key list within QuickBooks.